camping in an abandoned insane asylum, a hitchhiker that mysteriously vanishes, and a ghostly three-way relationship, I guess.
Get comfortable. Turn off the lights. It's Monthly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies! Your ears are not deceiving you. It is indeed that time of the month. It's time for Monthly Spooky. I'm, of course, your host, Enrique Couto, here with my good buddy, Michelle Antisocial, to sit down and talk about spooky goings-on of the last month or so. Chell, how are you?
I don't know.
I mean, could you check for me?
No.
You can't check for me?
No, I don't remember.
Should we involve the audience in your current turmoil?
Only if you want to.
Well, so I have to knock on wood every time I talk about cars because I'm so afraid that my car will decide to now be trouble. But I've been very blessed. My Prius has been in good shape for almost 10 full years.
Mm-hmm.
But the 11 years before that, I had a Volkswagen Beetle that was, not new by any stretch and needed a lot of love to keep running. So I have so many times in my life been where you are, although not nearly as frustrated at it. Well, maybe once.
Once at least.
Because your car is currently in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing quite crummy as the car being in the shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, talk about a horror story, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's funny. Like, people are like listening to like a show last week and they're like, a vampire ripped into a guy's throat, spooky. But then they hear us talk about like unexpected car repairs and they just shut it off. They're like, can't do it.
Yeah. Too much. Too close to home.
Yeah. Too close to home. It's like when you watch when you watch a horror movie or something and like somebody's head gets cut off, you're just like, whoa, his head got cut off. But then if they like, bust a finger in a door, you're like,
yeah, like, oh no. Or like one time somebody's like nail got like ripped off, not by another person, but just in an incident. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can watch this movie anymore.
I understand what that pain feels like, too much to be comfortable.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so your car has some issues.
Mm-hmm.
And your mechanic has been a delight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just want to say my car's issues are not a big deal. My car is 17 years old. So things just go eventually. I'm just having suspension issues. And also I'm having weird something else going on that the mechanic already couldn't figure out. So hopefully whatever they think it might be, which already doesn't sound like it is it. But it's like not catastrophic regardless. The suspension stuff is normal. Like I need new tie rods and little whatever those balls are, they go. And I knew that because it makes a horrible clunking noise when I hit bumps.
I once drove all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, and back with a bad bearing and tie rod.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
No, it's not.
But also, like, it happens. It's a part of having a car aging.
It's wear and tear.
Yeah. And the roads in my area are not even remotely good ever. So...
Sounds like a libertarian to me.
Yeah.
Talking bad about the roads.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite libertarian memes is like a person saying like, I'm a libertarian. And then it's like and then it just says like the other person and they're holding a baby, but they photoshopped a road over the baby. Cause that's always who will build the roads? That's always the argument.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the roads that are the worst here are the state roads. The ones that are owned by my township are fine. So,
well, I mean, the state only has billions to work with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, well, in your state's defense, you live in a small, inconsequential state, Pennsylvania. It's not like it's one of the largest states with a very high population or something.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm near a large metropolitan area.
Not even vaguely, let alone one of the largest.
Yeah.
So while we're doing the show, Chell is waiting for, it has the unenviable task of waiting to hear back from a mechanic.
Okay, and I just did.
Oh,
They
yeah?
just texted me and said, so far so good, we're still on track for tomorrow. So I guess we're fine. I guess I'll probably pick up my car tomorrow. So,
in theory.
I guess.
I yesterday when we were talking about your car mishap, I was remembering when I had to take my Volkswagen to a specialized mechanic for European cars. And he kept my car for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But didn't tell me anything. So I handed him the car on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I was told I would have it on Monday. So then Monday afternoon, I called to confirm before I got a ride to go get it. And they're like, oh, it's not going to be ready for at least another week. And I was like, oh, well, when did you know that?
Yeah.
Because you didn't pick up the phone and tell me. And it was one of those things where they were getting a special part, which happens a lot when you drive, especially older European cars.
Yeah.
What he ended up, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to crap all over the guy. He had terrible customer service, but he saved me almost $800 by finding the part in America.
Okay.
What he did was, because he's connected into that space, he found some guy in North Carolina who machines the part himself.
Wow.
And bought it from him.
Okay.
And that saved us a ton of money.
And it would make sense as to why it took so long, but it doesn't excuse we're just not going to tell you anything or answer the phone.
Yeah, could have just called. And then my favorite part was after I was so frustrated because number one, they took forever. Number two, no communication. And number three, they didn't take Discover Card, which really bothered me because it was like 2026, it was like 2014 or 2013. And I took Discover Card as a merchant.
Yeah.
I get that it costs more, but it doesn't really anymore. That just means that you don't keep up with your credit card transaction services.
Yeah.
So I had to put it on 3 different cards because my good credit card didn't have, my Discover had space for it,
right.
Which was really annoying. But then I remember my favorite part was then I get in the car and it's just filthy inside, covered in oil, grease. There's just grease spots everywhere. Yeah. And my steering wheel was completely sideways. My car was so unaligned that the steering wheel was sideways.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to deal with this idiot anymore. So I just drove straight to the place I got my tires and was just like, please align my car. I know it's $100. Just do it, please.
Yeah, wow.
And they were like, okie doke, 2 weeks. No, they did it in an hour and 40 minutes. So anyway, that all being said, that's way too scary to talk about on this show, to talk about car mishaps.
Yeah.
So actually, the subject of today's show is going to be a car related urban legend that I've always enjoyed.
Is it when cars eat people?
That was the joke I was about to say.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
Why
you steal them? Why are you stealing? No, it's the urban legend of the vanishing hitchhiker.
Oh, okay.
And see, finally, maybe you've actually heard this one before.
I don't know.
It's did you ever hear this from friends when you were growing up? And you're like, no, I had no friends when I was growing up.
Exactly.
Although you had that weird, creepy pond.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Devil's Pond.
Devil's Pond. I mean, you had that, which is pretty spooky.
Yeah, I guess.
All I had was the stream behind my apartment building where La Llorona lived, which didn't even exist. My stepdad made up that there was a stream back behind our apartment. I for years I didn't even realize it. He would just when he would tell a story, he'd be like, down by the river over behind the buildings, she'll get you. And I would never go there. It was really far away and you had to walk through backyards, but there was no. And now as an adult, I'm like, yeah, there aren't streams and stuff in downtown Dayton. I mean, there's the Miami River. That's what you get. It's a giant river though. It's very, very big. It's big enough people surf it. So, have you never seen people river surf?
I don't think so, but
it is just as cool and lame as it sounds.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like both of those things. Yeah.
There are spots where there are rocks and stuff and it becomes kind of rapid. and they just surf right there.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've been down by the Miami River, like taking photos or just hanging out because it's a very pretty place. And every now and then you'll see people out there on little specialized river boards. So, but we're going to do a modest dive into the concept and history of the Vanishing Hitchhiker, and hopefully it'll give you a little spooky feels, because it gives me the spooky feels, because I've heard so many variations of the Vanishing Hitchhiker when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my kid. Up until I was like 25, really. Like, my whole life is one long Vanishing Hitchhiker story. So I've always had a soft spot for that, because, like, I feel like the moment you get a driver's license, you're immediately, you have this like sense of fear of hitchhikers. Do you not? Okay. I mean, as a woman who travels alone a lot, I would assume you would.
I'm not afraid of hitchhikers. I don't have to like pick up a hitchhiker. It's not.
Have you ever had a hitchhiker approach you while you were filling your gas tank?
No, but I've had other people approach me.
Well, I mean, they're all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to Jersey, it was literally on my way to move in to my apartment in Jersey. I was, gosh, is it like you take Pennsylvania Turnpike all the way till you get to a certain point, and then you take like 11, and stuff to get up to 78.
Mm-hmm.
It was up there where there's the big truck stops everywhere on 11, I think it is. And I was literally filling my gas tank at like 11 p.m. and this dude just walks up to me and asks me for a ride. And I was scared shitless because he was a stranger walking up to me in the middle of the night. I'm 18 years old. Yeah. I've been driving for 4 months or something. Like, I'm just like, and I had the only excuse I could think of was there was no room in my Volkswagen. It was full of all of my belongings.
Mm-hmm.
All the belongings I could fit in a Volkswagen Beetle, which, spoiler alert, not a lot.
Oh.
I know, you're like, oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the worst part was like when you're like moving across country and all you have is your car. That's like an extra curse, because that means that your car is only full of the most valuable things you own. Like, it's like, well, I didn't bring my throw pillows, but I did bring my computer.
Yeah, and my Social Security card.
Of course,
yeah.
And my Fabergé eggs.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, we'll get to the Vanishing Hitchhiker story in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But now we really need to get to the spooky news, and we will do that right after these quick words from our sponsors. All right, we are back, and it's time. Chell, do you want to do the honors?
What?
Oh my God. How many shows have we done?
I don't think we've done that many.
I'm going to count right now.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to like, please don't.
Oh, you can count if you really want.
No, let's find out how many monthly spookies we've done. Monthly spooky. Oh, wow. It is a lot.
It can't be more than 20.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is the 21st.
Wow, I got it. That's weird.
That is a little strange.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that you prepared in advance. But no, Chell, what you were supposed to say was it's time for the spooky news.
Okay.
The spooky news.
All right, this first story, can you at least guess where it's from?
Mirror.co.uk?
No, it's totally from mirror.co.uk.
Okay.
The internet source for questionable ghost stories and a lot more, but mostly questionable ghost stories. This one, I thought of you when I saw it, Chell. It says, urban explorer spends the night in haunted abandoned asylum, but soon regrets it.
That's called squatting.
Well, not only is it called squatting, but like, I like how it's like stays in abandoned asylum, but soon regrets it. It's like, well, I hate to break it to you, but you wouldn't have had as much fun if it wasn't abandoned either.
Yeah.
It's full of scary ghosts. It's full of crazy people. Like, which one do you want? All right. They're just
and
like,
I'm institutionalized there.
all I wanted was a Pepsi.
Just a Pepsi.
I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy. An urban explorer spent the night in a haunted abandoned asylum, but admits it wasn't long before he was massively second-guessing his spooky accommodation choice.
I don't know.
The way that makes it sound is like he got on like Airbnb or Vrbo. It was like, I'm tired. I gotta find a place to lay my weary bones. Oh, abandoned asylum. Sold.
Yeah, $20 a night? Sure.
$20 a night. Oh, but then there's an $85 cleaning fee.
Of course there is. And it's like hidden. So you don't even know until you're like getting ready to like sign up.
Dude, I am so bummed with places like Airbnb and Vrbo now because those additional expenses are getting so ridiculous on so many places.
Yeah, they are.
That I'm starting to just get hotels again.
That's pretty much the general,
consensus.
Yeah, thank you. Right now is that hotels are probably cheaper.
Yeah, or they're at least more transparent.
And also,
please.
No,
please.
Also, they tend to be better accommodated, and you don't have to do as much work. And usually, they're clean, or at least you know how clean they're going to be.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to act like I don't love the Airbnbs I stay at, but at this point, I only stay at Airbnbs for the destination. Like, oh, it's a cabin in the woods, or oh, it's an abandoned insane asylum. Oh, it's a cabin next to a lake or something. Like that's the kind of reason I would stay. But now it's like, unless I'm going so cheap that I want to stay in like a spare bedroom because that's a lot cheaper. I just get a hotel because at a hotel, they don't charge you a cleaning fee, but also expect you to clean up everything.
Yeah.
And I know that that's like, oh, that's being so petty, but that really does drive me crazy. I've stayed at Airbnbs where like I was staying for 6 or 7 days and there's an $80 or $100 cleaning fee, but also instructions on how I have to clean up everything before I leave.
Yeah, that's really not okay.
Well, and I get like I would get a smaller cleaning fee because I get it. You got to wash the sheets. You got to like because most of the places, although I've heard horror stories about places where they actually tell you to do the laundry and remake the bed and stuff. That I've never seen.
I mean, I don't really have very many or any experiences with either platform. I don't think I've ever stayed at one. But when I was growing up, and, more recently, I have, with my family stayed at houses that were kind of like Airbnb, but they were, it was smaller, like by realty companies and stuff. Right. Were like short-term rentals. And there was the ones we used to stay at, you had to clean up everything and you had to do the sheets. So, yeah. But I don't think there was a cleaning fee.
Yeah, that's the part that drives me crazy is when there's a cleaning fee, but you're also supposed to clean up basically everything yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I have a problem with cleaning up everything myself, but like then it's like you're going to tell me it's going to cost you $80 to have somebody change the paper products and do the sheets?
Realistically, there should just be a cleaning fee and they shouldn't tell you to clean up by yourself. Actually, the cleaning fee should just be in the price. Like normal things. Yeah,
it just feels like an extra whatever. Cause like, I mean, the places I've stayed at, some of them have detailed instructions on how you have to fix the place up when you leave. And it's like, at that point, it's like, I work here.
Yeah. So, they should pay you.
I mean, but that being said, I mean, like there are places I really like. So, and I've also stayed at places where they don't have a cleaning fee at all. But it does seem to be becoming more and more popular to just amp up those fees.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just remember when Airbnb was a nice young concept and it hadn't been ruined yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the spooky accommodation choice. Dave, better known online as Freaktography, shares his creepy findings from venturing into buildings forgotten in time, and is known for uploading clips of his adventures with his followers on YouTube. Most recently, he took a look around a 30-year-old asylum, which I think it means 30-year abandoned, maybe?
I hope so, because
if the asylum was built in the 90s, that's not that impressive.
Yeah, and it's already abandoned and it was built in the 90s?
It's like, well, we know it was built in the 90s because it has this color scheme with there's a lot of neons.
Yeah.
Which he claims is haunted, and he was left horrified after hearing loud noises from the floor below.
Wow,
he was brave enough to stay overnight in the former asylum and slept on a hammock to make an easy escape if any spooky occurrences happen. Hold on.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it says he slept in a hammock to make for an easy escape. Maybe there's a translation issue. Maybe they meant like a cot.
I mean, I hope so, or a sleeping bag or something, because hammocks would not make it easy for you to leave quickly.
No. And I'm a hammock believer, but they're not the easy. You do need a second to get out of them.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I would want to sleep in a hammock at a abandoned place is maybe I just don't want to touch things. Maybe I don't want to touch the floor. But
yeah, well, I mean, most camping, you want to be raised off the floor at least a little bit.
Right.
You know, so like those portable cots that take you off the ground like 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense because you don't want to be cold. And if you have to sleep on the ground, your body heat goes into the ground. It has to warm the whole ground.
I mean, I could do that, not to brag, but I'm pretty warm. Also, you don't want bugs and stuff crawling on you.
Maybe you do.
For warmth.
Yeah, they can cuddle with you.
While visiting the site, Dave from Ontario, Canada said, quote, "I heard a very loud sound coming from the floor beneath us, eh? It was, okay, it is that. It was the sound of someone dragging something heavy and metal across the floor. I froze and every hair on my body stood on end. I stood there still and silent." You don't have any thoughts on that?
No, I was waiting for something to happen.
No. The next part is the asylum, which was previously used as a home for people with mental disabilities, is located in the United States.
Oh, I was going to say that if you're in an unsecured building and you hear sounds and you don't investigate them, you have to assume that they're actual people that are in the building.
Well, why would he assume, as a person who snuck into and is staying illegally there, that there are people who would sneak in and stay illegally there?
I don't know. Maybe they were dragging something around so they could set up a little thing that you set up.
They were probably dragging hammock holders.
Exactly.
Apparently hammocks are the thing. Hammock. Have you ever slept in a hammock?
No. I've been in a hammock, but I haven't slept in one.
Well, that's debatable. Did the hammock have a bar, like a crossbar, to make it flat?
One of them did.
That's a fake hammock.
That's a different kind of hammock, but I've also gone in the hammock that my mom has that doesn't have the bar now.
Nice.
I don't like any of them. I don't like that and stuff.
What was that?
It's too much. It's too much movement. I like my surfaces to not move around.
Oh, but I bet your mattress has springs.
Yeah, but they're not good springs.
No, I am a believer that hammocks are an excellent sleeping surface. As long as you know how to sleep on them. Mm-hmm. That sounds silly, but like if you lay just perfectly flat in a hammock, you're going to be like cradled all weird and it's going to hurt your back. But if you lay kind of across, like diagonally in the hammock, it actually flattens out nicely.
Okay.
And becomes a lot more comfortable. I'm a fan of Brazilian style hammocks myself, not to brag. I'm not trying to show off, but no, I love a good Brazilian style hammock because it's also like, do you want it to be a hammock or do you want it to be a couch? It's ready to be both.
Yeah.
I like that. But the idea that this guy is like in a hammock, just in case he needs to get out in a hurry, just makes me imagine him like flipping over and whoa, you know.
And then like the squatters below are like, what the fuck is that?
And then they're all updating their Twitter. Like, I just heard a creepy sound upstairs in the asylum.
Up there.
I would love to see like a supercut of like somebody staying in one part of an asylum and being creeped out by sounds coming from the other, and then seeing the perspective of the people there going like, what the hell's that sound coming from? The complex and grounds were built on a 203 acres of undeveloped land in 1986.
It's not even that old.
It's 37 years. I know too, because I was born in 86. It was registered as a National Historic Landmark.
What?
Why would a abandoned insane asylum be a National Historic Landmark?
From 1986.
Yeah, that's not even that historic.
Like, I mean, maybe it was from like 1910 and it was like a really cool landmark, but no, I don't even believe that actually. I think that's a mistake.
I don't know. They found like letters from like Ken Burns style letters from the building of the asylum. My dearest Adeline, I look forward to one day showing you the work we've done. Also, the men have become very saddened by the idea Michael Keaton will be playing Batman. Could this be true? We simply don't understand. These times we live in, they are changing. But the one thing that won't change is my love for you, dear Adeline. Also, cocaine is very good. Signed, Guy from the 80s. You know, the building is currently being turned into a hotel.
Okay.
With Dave claiming he obtained permission to enter the east and west wings, which remain untouched.
Well, if we believe him and they're secured, then it gives things a little bit more credence. But if we don't believe him, because I don't, then...
Well, the funny thing is, so it looks pretty abandoned. Here, I'll show you, Chell.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, it looks pretty abandoned. But if it's being renovated, but he's in the part that isn't being renovated, then I would assume he's hearing renovations.
He might be.
Especially if he's like, I'm hearing loud, heavy dragging. It's like, well, that sounds like renovations.
But we don't know, like, how big this area is. Like, maybe you really can't hear things from where he is. That
could be as well.
Yeah.
Despite ongoing renovations, there are many items left behind. In his video, Dave spots what looks like an old classroom with chairs and tables left in their exact positions. Okay, he has no way of knowing how they were positioned originally. But
he thinks
they look the way he thinks they should.
Yeah.
Down the hallway, there are broken wheelchairs sprawled across the floors, as well as peeling wallpaper and rubble from rotting ceilings.
Yes, I do.
The clip has thousands of views online, with users flocking to the comment section to share their reactions. Claire said, "Close call, Dave. Glad you guys got out safely. Interesting history on this building." Jonathan added, "You did well to come away unscathed. Good explore. Good explore. Good explore. Righteous explore." Someone else.
Oh my God.
I love the news. Someone else commented. That's also someone else. "No way would I spend the night in there." Cherry wrote, "Can you imagine being there when it first opened? Well, you'd have to be insane." So, Jean said, "A great explore." Apparently people say good explore, great explore, nice explore.
I guess maybe that's a thing now that we didn't know.
I mean, I would have said exploration, but maybe I'm sad and pathetic. So, but speaking of sad and pathetic, we're going to take a quick break because I need money. No, but we're going to take a quick break. And after these commercials, we'll be talking more about this asylum of sorts right here. And we are back, continuing a really good explore. And Chell's trying not to sneeze? Was that a sneeze?
I was going to sneeze, but then it went away. So we're not going to do that anymore.
That means you're cursed now. You'll be almost sneezing the rest of the day.
Wow.
Yep. Oh. Sorry. I don't make the rules. Oh, now you're going to yawn. I'm sorry. You have so many better places to be.
No, you yawned a couple minutes ago. Oh. And now I'm just yawning.
Let's see. In another separate exploration in the UK, Emma claimed to have heard echoing voices as she ventured inside a derelict mental asylum, which featured a creepy cemetery and basement. Wouldn't it be weird if it was like an abandoned asylum, which featured a delightful cemetery and basement?
Well, I mean, I think they're probably delightful, but, Well,
I worry about you.
Cemeteries are nice, and so are basements. Basements are the best.
Oh my God. There's a picture of the hammock. It's actually a hammock. It
really was a hammock. Oh my God.
It's a camping hammock.
Well, okay. It's fine. Just, sure. Just say it's because you don't want to sleep on the floor because there's probably I was about to say there's probably asbestos, but if it was built in the 80s, there's not.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Back when they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. For
asbestos.
Yeah.
No, they're just camping hammocks. That's all.
Yeah. So you can get out real quick.
I guess flipping over and hitting the ground is pretty quick.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The 29-year-old stepped inside St. John's Asylum in Lincolnshire for over 3 hours. I like how this is now just about a totally different asylum.
They were just trying to find words to put in the article, basically. Yeah.
She investigated the eerie building, which had been abandoned for 2 decades before a property developer scooped it up in 2012. The hospital, also known as St. John's Asylum, first opened its doors in 1852 as the Lincolnshire County Lunatic Asylum, after the 1845 Act of Parliament ruled it compulsory for each country, I think it meant county, to offer accommodation to lunatics. And lunatics is in quotes. I love that in the law it says lunatics.
Yeah.
Patients were subjected to electroshock therapy, brain surgery, and lobotomies in a bid to cure them from conditions including depression or schizophrenia.
I think the lobotomies probably did stuff.
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. Am I right, everybody? Hey. Careful with that joke. It's an antique. You know what I love? I love mirror.co.uk because every time I read their articles, I'm like, boy, I should be making bank as their copywriter.
Yeah.
Because they don't proofread very much. It just said to cure them from conditions including depression or schizophrenia. That suggests that it's limited to only those two.
Yeah.
It should be conditions including depression and schizophrenia.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's the including that messes it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that being said, do you ever feel a little bummed out and you consider just sticking your finger in a wall outlet to kind of razzle dazzle it away?
No, it doesn't really feel good. So no.
Well, that's because you just haven't kept at it.
No.
If you keep at it long enough, it starts to feel great.
I don't think so.
It's fascinating that ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, is still used because it turned out that there is, in extreme cases, benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
It is,
and that it's because your brain is electric.
Yeah.
So it's electric, So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this story is weird and kind of sad.
Yeah.
And it's from your favorite news source, NPR.
Wow.
Mummified monkey remains were found in luggage at Boston's airport.
That's significantly better than the remains that were found this week in Philly. So, yay.
Oh, the remains in Philly are always bad news.
Yeah.
So there's the mummified monkeys.
Yay.
The traveler at Boston Logan International Airport said the bag contained dried fish, but upon further examination, airport agents discovered that it was in fact mummified remains, which included heads belonging to 4 monkeys, U.S. Customs and Border Protection said in a statement. When you travel, do you like souvenirs?
Not so much, really.
You never go somewhere and you're like, wow, Branson, Missouri is wild. Can I get some monkey heads?
I mean, I have thought that, yes.
Specifically about the monkeys or just about how wild Branson is?
The entire sentiment.
The incident took place on Thursday at a security screening for passengers. A canine officer named Buddy sniffed out the dead and dehydrated monkeys from inside luggage belonging to a traveler who recently returned to the U.S. from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that checks out.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Raw or minimally processed meat from certain wild animals, otherwise known as bush meat, is not allowed to enter the U.S. largely out of health concerns.
I don't know that mummified monkeys qualify, but sure.
It's probably just kind of like that's the blanket rule that they're going to use, because in reality, no one's expecting to have a mummified monkey.
Yeah.
Quote, bush meat can carry germs that can cause illness, including the Ebola virus. Julio Caravia, the area port director at CBP Boston, said in a statement. The traveler on Thursday carried about 8 pounds of bushmeat. Okay, so the bushmeat doesn't include the heads, I don't think.
Okay, whatever.
The Centers for Disease Control marked it for destruction, according to the CBP. Airport agents around the country have encountered a variety of meats. In 2022, agents at Washington Dulles Airport confiscated charred bat.
Okay.
In 2019, officers at O'Hare International Airport intercepted 32 pounds of rat meat.
You could just get that here.
That's what I was about to say.
What are you doing?
Why on earth would you need to import rat meat?
Yeah.
And the worst part is it doesn't say where it was coming from either. So, like, where did the rat meat come from? I want to know where the good rat meat is.
Maybe it came from Australia. Remember there was that rat, or was it Australia?
That was Australia.
Yeah,
where the rats like take over the town.
Yeah, because that would make sense. That's like fast, easy source of rat meat. So
that's the next Michelle t-shirt. Is just your face. That's just a fast, easy source of rat meat right there. So, and also though, like the charred bat in 2022, I mean, haven't we learned from COVID to avoid bat meat?
I mean, I guess not.
I mean, granted, it turned out that was made up, but still, you know.
But there are other diseases that have come from bats, so it's not like
name 6.
Rabies. One of those plasmosises, histoplasmosis. I don't know the rest.
Oh man, for a second I was like, shit, she's gonna name 6. Well, that was from NPR about mummified monkey remains.
Okay.
So let me ask you, if you were smuggling mummified monkey remains into the United States, who would that be a gift for in your family?
In my family?
Yeah, I mean, or your friend's family in your life. I mean, who's the mummified monkey remains for?
Gigs.
Oh, your cat?
Yeah.
Do you think she would like the mummified monkey remains?
She'd love them. She could smell them and she could eat them and play with them.
Has Gigs shown interest in eating monkeys before?
She's never seen one, but that doesn't mean she wouldn't eat it.
Well, I mean, I based on everything I know about cats, you are correct.
Yeah.
So this one is truly bizarre, Chell.
Okay.
This one caught my attention immediately because I was just like, what on earth is this headline? This is from Huffington Post, HuffPost.com. Alabama radio station off the air after 200-foot radio tower is stolen.
Oh, no.
Yeah. This is just one of those stories where it's like, hold up, start from the beginning. What did you just say? Like, I love that about the way our brains process information.
Yeah.
That if you get something so far out of the realm of probability, you didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I was standing outside and then our 200-foot radio tower was gone. And you're like, wait, what? Hold on. What did you say?
Yeah.
I did not process that. And then the quote underneath says, a maintenance worker called me on Friday and said, the tower is gone. Recalled WJLX's Brett Elmore. I said, what do you mean the tower is gone? It reminds me, there's this band I've loved since I was a teenager called Irritating Rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their later albums was just called What Happened to the Truck?
Yeah.
And the album cover is just a photo of like the side of a street with the three of them standing around like with like shrugging like, what the hell? And there's no truck. I don't know why that tickles me so much. If you happen to see a 200-foot radio tower lying around, there's a radio station in Jasper, Alabama that would love to hear from you.
Oh, God.
WJLX-AM has been off the air since February 2nd when a landscaping crew visited the site where the tower is supposed to be for a bit of routine maintenance. The station's general manager, Brett Elmore, told Birmingham Fox affiliate WBRC that he was shocked when a crew member called him with some news. Quote, when he arrived, he called me on Friday and said, the tower is gone, Elmore told WBRC. I said, what do you mean the tower is gone? Are you sure you're at the right place? He said, no, the tower is gone. There are wires everywhere and it's gone.
So did the landscaping crew take it?
Wow, look at you just assuming the blue-collar workers are criminals.
Well, why did they even bring them up?
I'm guessing because they're the ones who discovered that the tower was missing.
I thought it was one of those. It was somebody else.
No, it was a landscaping crew person.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. So at the top of the thing, they refer to them as maintenance workers, and then down here they call them landscapers.
Okay.
So it's a little confusing, but well, it makes sense. Think about it. Like the tower is off a ways, because it doesn't have to be next to the building. It can be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then you would want to keep, trimming back hedges and stuff, to keep it nice and new.
So how long had the tower been gone?
I'm guessing not long if nobody had noticed that worked there had noticed they were off the air.
What if they just didn't know and nobody
just kept broadcasting to nobody? Well, gee, at that point, you may as well have a podcast. Now I'm sad. I'm going back to bed. Okay. No. Let's see. The radio station's Facebook account announced the theft by rightfully noting, quote, this is going to get out eventually, so I might as well make it public before it does. Yeah, you're not going to be able to keep a secret like somebody stole our 200-foot tower. Maybe they thought it was made of copper, so they were like, we're gonna get some methamphetamine money with this copper.
So I was watching something last night where these people they wanted to have a silo attached to their barn for some messed up reason. And they found one, this big, like 30-foot silo. And they went to it to check it out. And I was like, how are they going to get it though? Cause it's so large and they had to put it on a truck. Like, how do you take a giant tower and have nobody notice that you take it?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine even if you disassembled it as much as humanly possible, it would still be a massive job.
Yeah. And not fast.
No, and 200 feet is really, really big.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy. You know how some numbers just don't click with us because we don't really understand how big 100 feet is. Mm-hmm. To give context, 200 feet is like the max that you're allowed to fly a non-commercial drone in a neighborhood.
I don't know how.
That's very, very high up.
Okay.
200 feet's pretty high up.
I was thinking more like my house is probably like 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it would be like 3 and some would be 100 feet and, and then some more houses.
Americans will do anything to not use the metric system.
I don't even understand feet really. Like I don't get any of it. So
here's the post they put on Facebook. This morning, my bush hog crew went down to a tower site to do an early cleanup of the property before we did some more work down there. When he arrived, he called and notified me that not only was my building vandalized, but my 200-foot tower was gone. That's in all caps. They stole every piece of equipment out of the building, cut the guy wires to the tower, and somehow managed to down a 200-foot tower and take it from the property.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, it makes me feel like almost like they wanted it more. You just got to let them have it.
Yeah, it's their tower now.
It's their tower now, man.
I hope they use it for a tower so we can find it and then somebody can just take it from them.
In unrelated news, a rival radio station just opened up down the street. Although Elmore filed a police report, Jasper Mayor David O'Mary told NBC News that local authorities lack the information needed to conduct a full-fledged investigation. Now I think the mayor did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't know about any towers.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
WJLX listeners can still visit the station online, but a note on its webpage said the Federal Communication Commission denied a request to broadcast on FM radio via a sister station.
Oh, it's the FCC that took their tower. They don't want them.
I mean, I've never liked the FCC, so...
Yeah.
Local broadcasting colleagues have reportedly offered to help find a temporary transmitter location, according to Inside Radio. Elmore said that the tower and other equipment weren't insured. That's a big mistake.
Oh, no.
How do you not insure equipment for broadcasting when you're a radio station?
I don't know.
So the station has organized a GoFundMe campaign to raise $60,000 to replace, or well, it doesn't say to replace the tower. It says to get back on the air.
Okay.
And they must be well liked. They have 396 donations and have raised $22,038.
Okay.
So good for them on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so it's important to keep in mind. So I've obviously, since I've been into podcasting for so long, obviously I had interest in radio when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the olden days of radio, they used to, the way that you would send a radio signal was an ISDN line.
Okay.
Which was basically high-speed internet, but you would use it only to send data of voices or radio broadcasts. And it would be exactly 128 kilobits per second. So it was almost CD quality. And so that's why it's not impossible for them to just send their feed somewhere that will then broadcast it, because you don't actually need that much bandwidth to get the signal.
Right.
Because it's just an audio stream. It's not, it's like Discord. You pay $8 a month and Discord will be that high quality now, which is insane. But it used to be in the olden days, like if a radio host was working from home, like which would happen sometimes, like somebody would have an injury or whatever, they would just have an ISDN line installed in their house and it would feed directly into the studio where they were doing the show. So it'd be relatively lossless.
Interesting.
I'm a nerd. As of Friday afternoon, the campaign raised $1,400. Yeah, we're a small market station, but we're going to get back. We're going to get back, and we're going to be back on the air as soon as we possibly can. He told NBC News. Currently, there are no suspects in the theft, but Elmore told Inside Radio that he doesn't, quote, see some guy off the street just doing this, and added, "This looks like a professional hit."
It definitely sounds like that.
It really does. So if anybody out there has any information on who might have stolen a 200-foot radio tower, please contact the Jasper Police Department. But we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with even more spooky news, assuming our podcast tower doesn't get stolen. Now we're back with another piece of spooky news from mirror.co.uk. And this one, Chell, you'll appreciate because love is in the air.
Oh.
The headline is, quote, I'm in love with a ghost and my girlfriend accepts it. They both hang out together.
What?
How could that sentence not be more clear?
I don't know.
I mean, do you not?
I mean, it is very clear.
What I love about this story is like, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like these girls that are in a relationship, they look exactly like I would expect. They're just like young and kind of alternative, and both in different ways. Like one girl seems more like a free spirit type, and the other girl is like very like, kind of TikTok emo-y kind of, which is only something a friggin' millennial would say.
Yeah.
Because everybody else would be like, what's emo?
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't really call that emo.
What would you call it? Goth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to disrespect goths by calling it goth.
That's... And I was thinking maybe the other girl is like some sort of like cottage core thing.
What, cottage core?
Yeah, you didn't know about cottage core?
What is cottage core? You got to fill me in right now.
I mean, I don't know if that's what she is, but I was just thinking about like her dress. Cottage core is like when you think it's really cool to like have like just like, I don't know,
rustic
kind of
living
mid-century. Yeah, kind of rustic living, or like kind of like old kitschy things, that kind of stuff.
I kind of like that term.
Yeah, and I might not have said it correctly. So if you're listening and you're like, that's not what cottage core is, I'm sorry, I'm tired.
You're like, that's exactly what cottage core is.
That's enough.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, so my favorite thing about this is the little headline underneath. So this is a two women who are dating, and they have a third partner that is a ghost. But what I like the most about this is as they describe the ghost, I just am like, what would you have in common?
Hey.
What?
Just because you're dead doesn't mean, or from a different time period, doesn't mean you can't have common things. Can't have things in common with other people who are alive and from modern day. I don't know.
A couple who are unapologetic for their lifestyle have been told they are speaking to demons after confessing they have a third individual in their relationship, a war soldier from the 1700s.
It's okay.
That's the part where I'm like, okay. So first of all,
sure.
Look, like I'm not trying to be rude, but these two women don't look like they would date someone in the military now.
It's different.
It's more, well, it's worse in every way in 1700.
Sure.
I mean, well, let's see if we can find out what war he fought in, or she. I would assume it's a he because women weren't really fighting in many wars, but I could be proven wrong because who knows where they're from in the world as well.
Yeah.
Meet the couple who spend their date nights at cemeteries and have a third individual in their relationship, a 300-year-old ghost. For the record, I'm just going to come out and say this real quick. This is just white people shit. This is just such white people shit. Like, my life is so uninteresting. I swear I'm also dating a 300-year-old ghost.
You don't think it's possible that they're just insane?
No, not even a little bit.
Aww.
I mean, one of them might be a little cuckoo bananas, but the other one is just in it for the attention.
I think they're just insane. I'd hate to believe that they're just liars.
You're like, I pray that they're both incurably insane.
Yeah.
What the hell is this sentence? A loved up couple? That's how it starts. A loved up couple. That must be a British thing. A loved up couple has been inundated with judgment after opening up their unconventional relationship online. Why would you need to put it online?
Because the ghost said, put it online. I don't know what that internet is, but you should do it.
Let's take a selfie. What is a photograph? Oh, it is a man. Okay, so Rebecca Carmichael is a professional ghost guide, but first of all, that's mixing business with pleasure then. You're a professional ghost guide and you're dating a ghost. That seems a little inappropriate.
It does seem inappropriate.
That's like a hostile work environment.
Yeah.
But her otherworldly connection suddenly became a lot more personal when she met Rupert, the spirit of a Welshman and Revolutionary War soldier from the 1700s. Wait, what war? Are we talking like the American Revolution?
Well, it kind of sounds like 1700s and revolutionary, that it would be the American Revolution.
Well, so was Rupert on the other side? Because if he was, I think this is treason. This sounds like treason.
I don't think it's treason anymore.
Well, it wouldn't be treason anymore because all of those people are dead. But if you're dating a ghost that was fighting directly against us in war, I call that treason.
I disagree because the war is over, so it doesn't matter if he was fighting in the war or not.
Well, there are other things to consider too. Did he die in the war, or did he just fight in the war and then die later?
Sounds like, I don't know. I don't know. Where are these people from? What's going on?
I mean, if I had to guess, Oregon is my guess, but it's based on nothing.
Boo,
Let's see.
And it doesn't make any sense.
The girls are in America.
Okay,
the living
so
girls are Americans.
Then I assume he died during the war.
The American woman claims the ghost followed her home one night, and soon after they got to know each other and slowly began to spend more time together.
Wow.
Unexpected feelings grew between them, and they became a couple. But soon after, Rebecca did meet someone new in the living world. Wow, so the ghost was there first.
Wow.
Okay, now, this is where I'm going to get really judgmental now. To me now, it sounds like she was just saying, I'm dating a ghost to be kooky and fun and make her business make more sense and get that bag, girl, and get that TikTok clout, get whatever. But then she actually met a person and was like, wait, actually, I would like to actually be in a relationship and I'd like to actually date a person. And so she was like, oh, well, we're in a throuple. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah, because it would have been at least a little bit more weird if it was like, I had a girlfriend, but then I met this ghost and we hit it off. So yeah, it all sounds so.
That's so, I mean, no, I just thought of all sorts of questions, but I don't want to ask them.
Ask one of them.
No, I don't want to.
Please?
None of them are good.
That's the best part.
No, I just wonder about, because I know that like most people, they like needy sexual component to their relationship. So I'm just wondering.
Well, according to Ghostbusters, ghosts can have sex acts with living people.
Yeah, I know, but I'm wondering if for reals or in their world, how this.
Well, according
works.
to Dan Aykroyd, all depictions of ghosts in Ghostbusters were relatively true to life.
Okay.
Dan Aykroyd is nuttier than a squirrel turd.
I believe him, though.
For the okay, so this article is bringing so much more fun. I thought it was just going to be a little kooky, but this is hilarious. Rebecca did meet someone new in the living world, a fellow spirit social media educator. So they're both in the same business.
Spirit social media educator?
And her name is Catherine, but it's Katharyn. It's
not her fault that she's
You don't know that
weird.
that was her given name. She could have chosen that name.
That was her given name.
You think her parents were just that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Rebecca says she had to come clean to Rupert about her living world relationship. He's a ghost. He couldn't see.
Yeah, he didn't know.
It's like, no. He just hangs out at the house and plays Xbox while I go to work.
I mean, it's possible.
Imagine how jealous you'd be if you were a ghost dating a woman whose job is to hang out with ghosts. It'd be like, listen, Rebecca, I want to trust you. I really do. But you're hanging out with people that I know are your type all day long. Do you know how hard it is for me to sit here? I'm not even a citizen. I can't work.
Yeah.
We have to get married and then I have to get a K-1 visa. At least I didn't try to do a Welsh accent while I...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He also might not have an accent anymore since he's been in the U.S. for so long.
Oh, yeah, that does happen.
Yeah.
And the reverse, if you're Madonna, it only takes like 2 years and you got a full British accent.
To be fair, I think if I lived somewhere with a different accent, it wouldn't take very long. Because I've just been around people with different accents and started thinking in that accent before. So
I will say I have to catch myself occasionally like mimicking an accent if I'm around it too much, but it doesn't feel effortless. It feels like I kind of want to do it because I can. Because like when you're around it enough, you pick it up. Like I had a friend who was English when I was a teenager, and we hung out so much that I would do his accent to him to make him laugh. Because I could sound because I literally, when I heard him so much, I could just sound like him. And he thought it was hilarious.
Well,
Okay, Rebecca says she had to come clean to Rupert about her living world relationship and inform her girlfriend of her spirit relationship. Catherine insists there is, quote, no jealousy, as she, quote, respects the connection that Rebecca and Rupert have. The trio reportedly often hang out and go on trips together.
Aww.
Oh, God, here's a picture of the... oh, man.
Of all three of them?
Well, no. Maybe. It's just a shot of them like doing EVP or something, like at a cemetery together.
Yeah, they're just hanging out.
Oh my gosh. Rebecca and Catherine often visit cemeteries and speak to spirits, quote, for fun. That's what the caption says. Rebecca explained to Love Don't Judge that she and Rupert connect through their energies, with their relationship primarily revolving around emotions.
Okay.
Well, what else would it? I mean, I guess, I assumed immediately that it was not strictly sexual. But you know what? I should not judge.
Yeah.
Quote, because of the very clear physical differences between us. Well, you mean that that one of you has no physical being whatsoever?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying one of you is corporeal and the other one is not.
I'm just saying you're starting to sound a little judgy about this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I apologize. I should really open my mind a little bit.
And really, there could be ghosts listening to this, and now they feel like they can't get in relationships with random women that are alive. And you totally can. If you're a ghost and you want to be in a consensual relationship with some woman, go for it.
I think the biggest issue here really would be that Rupert has to be super racist. He's 300 years old.
He might not be.
Like, if I had to make excuses for my grandma, to be like, she's just old and dumb. Rupert's got to be racist.
He might not be.
Okay. I mean, if you say so.
I'm just surprised he's okay with them being not totally straight.
Yeah, them being lesbians?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably I would assume that Rupert would be like, oi, you sapphic. Ugh. That's not all right.
Or he might be just really into it because some guys think.
What a creep. I don't like Rupert at all. The more we're talking about Rupert, the more I have problems. She added, quote, he is acknowledging that I'm here in the physical and I need to live a life here in my present. If Rupert really loved you, he'd be like, oi, just kill yourself.
Yeah. Come on.
God, this is awful. Quote, he had to learn how I was physically perceiving him. With respect, he started hanging out more where I was living. He was always very clear on boundaries, wanting consent. He never wanted to press being inside my home or anything like that. Well, he's insanely forward thinking for a soldier from 300 years ago.
Or maybe he's a vampire and he needs consent to enter your home and you just gave him.
Whoa, we have not touched on the idea of vampire ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Because I feel like it can't be a ghost vampire. I feel like ghost vampires are people who like feed on the blood of ghosts, which doesn't make any sense, but that's what my brain says.
Okay.
So he'd be a vampire ghost.
Yeah.
Speaking about how the relationship began with Catherine, Rebecca said, quote, we met in person a year after we started talking. We became best friends. Then we stopped ignoring how we felt about each other. We met on TikTok. Nailed it. I found Rebecca and I thought, wow, this is great, Catherine explained. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll dive more into this I don't even have the word. This throuple from beyond the grave right after this quick break. All right, we are back, and Chell.
What?
There's an artist's rendition of what Rupert looks like.
Oh, I thought that's probably what that picture was when you showed me the screen.
Yeah. Let me pull it up for you. Of course, he's perfect and handsome, and he's blonde with bluish greenish eyes.
He's got kind of rosy cheeks,
very rosy,
which makes no sense because he's dead.
Yeah, Rebecca said this is what her ghostly partner and former Revolutionary War soldier Rupert looks like.
Wow.
Well, notice he's not smiling because you don't want to see a Welshman's teeth from 300 years ago.
Oh.
No way. But here's the part that I read ahead just when we were on break that made me go, wait a second. Catherine isn't, okay, never mind, this makes sense. Catherine isn't in a romantic relationship with Rupert, but often interacts with Rupert. Mm-hmm. Quote, Rupert and I are friends. We've hung out, had conversations, gone on trips together. The living couple makes videos and live streams with a community of people online who get an insight into their ghostly interactions. So this is what they call a V triad.
Okay.
in polyamory. So that means that one person is the connection between the other two.
Okay.
They are not dating each other, but they're both dating that one person.
Okay, so it's not a full triangle-y thing.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It's a V.
Got it.
A V triad. But the pair say they have been inundated with comments such as, "You're crazy," or told them they are, quote, "lying," and, quote, "talking to demons." That's an escalation between two different viewpoints. One viewpoint, you're making it up. The other viewpoint, it's evil.
Yeah.
Quote, "They're letting everybody out of your asylums nowadays," one commented. Another said, quote, "Find Jesus, accept him into your heart."
Wow.
Well, then it could be a 4-way relationship. If you get Jesus involved.
Yeah.
The couple said, also said, set the record straight on Love Don't Judge, confirming that they do not suffer from mental health issues, but people assume they must do due to their
Yeah.
great work, mirror.co.uk. They must due to their interests and lifestyle. Despite this, they focus on the positives and the hope that they have brought to many like-minded people. Rebecca added, what's worth it to me is the amount of people who come forward and say, "You made me feel sane. Thank you." Oh my God. What really matters is that we're making people who may literally be desperately insane feel like they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm waiting for Catherine to be like, "I'm glad I could make them feel better. My dog tells me to kill blonde women."
Yeah.
Or my neighbor's dog. My neighbor's dog tells me to kill blonde women. Quote, "It was really like a community built on people that says, I thought I was losing it."
Yeah.
This is harmful.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's real.
Well, let's play the idea that this is real. That doesn't mean the people who are finding solace in it are real. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
The people who are finding solace in it may have severe mental problems.
The problem is, like, what are you going to do?
I guess therapy?
Yeah.
Or more likely just, swipe on TikTok all day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. Catherine uses a spirit box to hear them. What makes their bond so strong is their acceptance of one another.
So do they just talk to him through the spirit box? Is that what's happening?
I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm not sure. Catherine said, quote, "I love Rebecca for her talent. I feel very privileged to be in this spirit with her. She is like a star."
Wow.
Speaking on screen on Love Don't Judge, Rebecca told Catherine, "What I love about you the most is how you make me feel seen. I don't worry about the future with you. I'm so caught up in how happy I am in the present."
Aww.
I think that that's very hateful to say I feel seen when one of your partners is not corporeal.
Yeah. That's okay.
I bet Rupert doesn't feel seen.
I bet he doesn't feel seen at all.
I think, okay, Rupert, if you're listening to this, and I know you are, you could do better.
Don't listen to him. That you're in a nice, stable relationship with some crazy girl and a girlfriend. That's good enough.
The first word I had in my mind was stable as well. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's move on to a story that's much less upsetting.
Okay.
This is from HuffPost.com. Doctors remove 150 live bugs from Florida man's nose.
That seems like a lot of bugs.
150 live bugs. Live. So maybe there's another 100 dead ones you don't even know.
What kind of bugs?
Apparently it's larvae.
Oh.
It says dozens and dozens of larvae were reportedly feeding on the man's nose and sinus cavity, some as big as the end of a pinky.
So are they just maggots then? Is that what we're doing?
I think they're maggots.
Okay, they should just specify that they're maggots.
Well, bugs is kind of a general term.
Yeah.
So let's find out more details about this nightmare come true.
Okay.
A Florida man is breathing easier now that 150 live bugs have been removed from his nose. Good work, HuffPost. That was solid. The unidentified patient went to a hospital earlier this month after noticing that his whole face felt like it was on fire, according to Friday report by the Jacksonville's First Coast News.
I woke up this morning and I was like, my face just feels like maybe it's on fire, but I don't know.
But I don't know. I'm just gonna sleep in a little. I probably just need extra rest.
Yeah.
Although the man first started experiencing symptoms in October, it wasn't until recently that they became serious.
Well, obviously.
This was published at the end of February.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just so everybody understands, assuming these are maggots, it's not just like one day you just wake up and you have maggots all over your body. No, there's something wrong with a part of your body causing it to basically rot, and then the maggots would move in. So it's
Isn't it called like necrosis?
I guess
or something?
So, yeah.
Like dead tissue?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that in the past they've used maggots to get dead tissue off of healthy tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Although the man first started experiencing symptoms in October, it wasn't until recently that they became serious. Quote, over a couple of hours, my face just started swelling. My lips swelled. I could hardly talk, the patient told First Coast News. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom without my nose starting to bleed.
I know what to tell you.
This is heinous.
Yeah.
The man visited HCA Florida Memorial Hospital in Jacksonville and consulted with Dr. David Carlson, an ear, nose, and throat specialist who was on call. Carlson was shocked when he looked inside the man's nose with a camera. He saw dozens and dozens of bugs feeding on the nose and sinus cavity, some as big as the end of a pinky. Quote, I knew he was in big trouble. There was erosion. You think there are dozens and dozens of bugs eating your sinuses, but
it's probably fine.
You're probably fine. Just drink some water.
Yeah.
There was erosion that was occurring near the skull base in very close proximity to his eye and his brain.
Well, that's
Carlson
where your nose
said.
is.
Yeah, that is, I suppose, not a good thing. At first, the physician tried to use suction to remove the insects, which were in the larval stage, but they were too large, so he had to extract them one by one from the man's nose.
I'm surprised he didn't have to have surgery, like they open up the nose and they take out the bugs.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how big your nose is. Like I have pretty big nostrils.
Yeah.
I could probably do that.
Okay. We can try.
This makes me extra nervous because I was complaining earlier in the show to you when we were off the air about my sinuses being clogged. And I'm like, oh no.
It's just little.
It's just larvae.
Yeah.
Oh God. Quote, they were right up against his skull base, right under the brain. Had they gone through that, it could have killed him, Carlson said.
Yeah.
The bugs have since been sent to an epidemiologist to determine their species. The patient is expected to make a full recovery.
Okay.
It remains a mystery how the larvae got inside the man's nose, but he first told First Coast News that the problem might have stemmed from his bad hygiene habits when handling dead fish.
I mean, that's probably it. Yeah.
That sure does sound like it.
Yeah.
You guys can't see us. We're both leaning away from the microphone in total disgust and then having to remember we're doing a show. This is so heinous. There are no photos.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Although I could have DALL-E AI us a photo maybe.
They might not, because I think that might be against their standards.
I just have to figure out how to describe it in a way that it's not offensive.
Yeah.
When I was a boy, my grandma used to tell me stories about
maggots in a nasal cavity.
It remains a mystery. Oh, sorry, I read that already. Quote, before I would rinse my hands in the river, now I'll use cleaner to do a better job and not touch my nose or my hand, the man told the station.
I'm actually thinking there's probably more to it than that,
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're fly larvae. It's not like touching your nose is going to, no, but whatever. I'm not an epidemiologist. No, that's not what that's called. Doesn't matter.
I'm trying to see if I could find a follow-up on it. It doesn't look like there's a follow-up. Yeah, nope, no follow-up. Sorry.
Interesting.
Damn. Yeah, because the latest report is from like 3 days later, and it's the same story.
Oh, okay.
It just got picked up by everywhere because, and now I can't wait to see what my ads are going to be on Google since I searched Florida man larva and nose.
Yeah.
It's going to be nothing but larva plugs. People saying like, check out our larva. They're the best in town.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Stick them up your nose.
Up your nose. All right. We got one more piece of spooky news. This one is from WXTK News Radio, and it says, chilling video shows strange shadow creature with glowing eyes behind boy.
Uh-oh.
And I love it because they say that and then don't like show up a screen capture of that image. Like it's not in there at all.
Yeah.
An innocent video of two children playing hide and seek has become much more sinister upon further inspection. It might not have just been a child hiding in the clip. The video, which was filmed in Mexico, shows a little girl finding a boy behind a large rock and yelling, "I found you!" As the boy reveals himself, what looks like a tall, dark figure with glowing eyes rises behind him.
Uh-oh.
The footage was posted to TikTok, of course, where viewers were unsure if they were seeing an animal, something supernatural, or just an optical illusion.
Mm-mm.
A slowed down version of the clip was later shared on YouTube to better show the creepy shadow creature. So let me see if I can find the still for you.
Okay. You'd think they would just link it.
Well, they have the video, but you'd think they would like take a capture of the image, but they don't. So I'm showing Chell the image. Oh, wow. Oh, it just looks like a person peeking their head up.
Yeah.
I don't even see the glowing eyes.
I saw there's.
Oh,
what is that?
Never mind. I was looking too low. It was really tall.
I don't know what that is, but it's definitely something. Oh, maybe it's that kid.
So it does appear to be like a really tall, two eyes that could have been some kind of like bug reflection or something.
I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird. So,
that would upset me.
Yeah, no, me too. Commenters had plenty of suggestions of what's in the video. One stated that the figure is actually another girl who had her back turned. The shadow eyes are the girl's pigtails.
Okay.
But another wrote, quote, "I think that all of us who have lived in the countryside or in rural areas know that it is not a good idea to play hide and seek at night. My grandmother said that when it gets dark, the demons will be there."
Playing hide and seek.
Playing hide and seek. I like that because that just sounds like being told La Llorona, so I won't be outside playing at night. And the last piece that this says is there is no official word on what the figure is.
Yay.
I mean, why would there be official word?
I don't know.
So that one definitely chilling. At least that's what they said. They said it was chilling. So.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Vanishing Hitchhiker right here on Monthly Spooky. All right, we are back. And this month's topic is a urban legend I've been hearing about since I was a very young boy. The Vanishing Hitchhiker.
Yay.
Do you remember the first time you heard of such a thing, Michelle?
No.
No?
No.
But you know that you have heard of it.
I guess, yeah.
Well, the Vanishing Hitchhiker, it's important to keep in mind that there are an immense amount of variations on the Vanishing Hitchhiker. Sometimes it's a woman in white. Sometimes she has a baby. And sometimes she doesn't.
Yeah.
Some of the variations, they disappear in the backseat of your car. Some versions, you drop them off and then they disappear later, or you come back to where you dropped them off to check on them and find out that, like, you know, well, Tina's been dead 15 years last night. Ta-da! You know, there's all kinds of variations on the Vanishing Hitchhiker. And the reason that I love the story of the Vanishing Hitchhiker is because I love to drive. And I know you also have enjoyed like seeing most of the country by driving.
Yeah.
And when you drive a lot at night, it's creepy sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't find driving at night creepy?
No.
Not at all?
No, the only things I find unsettling about driving at night are that I might fall asleep. That would be bad. And then also I might hit a deer. That's it.
I have hit a deer. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I know. But it was already dead.
But like you've never driven, have you ever driven through a full night?
I don't really do that, no.
I don't do it anymore. I did it when I was really young.
Yeah, I didn't ever do that. But I've driven like late to get places. But I'm not really creeped out by that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to agree with me like as if you ever do.
Sorry.
Rude. No, but I mean, I've probably more than 5 times I've driven literally through the night. Like I arrived and it was daytime again.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about, it's like there's a level where you drive at night and it's peaceful and it's great because there's no traffic. Like it's very freeing. Mm-hmm. But then it's like once you hit that like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., it just gets creepy.
Yeah.
Just a little bit because you're traveling pretty fast. But like my favorite example is when I would drive down to Georgia. Mm-hmm. The first few times I drove down to Georgia to see my buddy Andrew, I was working a day job, so I had to leave at like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So I would just drive through the night because I would arrive in Georgia at like 6 or 7 in the morning. And there was something about when you would get off the interstate and get on just a state route where you're just driving along and you're turning on the winding roads and all you can see are like the blacked out mountains on either side of you where you're just like, man, if somebody was standing on the side of the road right now, I'd be so freaked out.
Yeah, that would be scary.
You know, like, cause you're thinking like I'm alone, but in reality, you're not. I mean, you are, but you're traveling at like 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. So like any time now you could come across something. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I find creepy about driving at night is you're not, sometimes it feels like you're sitting still, but in reality, you're traveling, obviously.
Yeah.
So there is that sense of like, you know, I'm fine. There's nobody out. It's late. And then all of a sudden it's like, 60 miles later, it's like, I'm in a completely different place. And now it's foggy and creepy. I had that happen once driving through North Carolina at like 4 a.m. Yeah. There was just a dense fog everywhere. And it felt like it came out of nowhere. I'm just driving along and then all of a sudden it's really foggy. I had to shut my high beams off because it was blinding me. There are areas,
if you're like traveling on 95, there are areas that just do that. It's very strange.
The last time that first Joe Bob Jamboree that I went to in Nepa, when we were heading back to our hotel at 4 a.m, it just was foggy as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really creepy and awesome.
Where I used to live in Plainsboro, there's an area like kind of behind development where there's like office buildings and stuff. And for some reason, if it was foggy anywhere, it was foggy there. And really foggy, like you can't see where you're going. Foggy. Right. So that's something. I don't know.
Well, the other thing about the Vanishing Hitchhiker story is it's inspired so many concepts about just hitchhikers in general, because you and I are from a generation where hitchhiking was generally illegal. Mm-hmm. But there was a long period of time where hitchhiking was a way people got around.
Yeah.
Long distances. And there's something about the idea of like driving down a dark road at night and seeing, and it's usually a woman because people are more likely to help women than men. So there's this concept of like, oh man, there's a woman just standing on the side of the road in the middle of the night. That can't be good. Something's got to be wrong.
Yeah.
So then you stop to help her. And whether she's normal, I mean, there are versions of the story I've heard where like literally it's somebody pulls up to them and rolls the window down and calls to them. And they walk up to him. And then like when they turn their head, their face is just a skull and it screams. And then they just like hit the gas and drive away as fast as they can. Mm-hmm. And like, even just telling you that version, I'm like, whoa, creepy. I love a good creepy story,
Yeah.
So that all being said, I'm looking at, of course, the most common and reliable source of information on Earth, Wikipedia.
Yay.
to find out a little bit more about the Vanishing Hitchhiker story.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive in right now. This says the Vanishing Hitchhiker, which is also known as the Ghostly Hitchhiker, Disappearing Hitchhiker, and Phantom Hitchhiker, among others, is an urban legend in which people traveling by vehicle meet with or are accompanied by a hitchhiker who subsequently vanishes without explanation, often from a moving vehicle. Public knowledge of the story expanded greatly with the 1981 publication of Jan Harold Brunvand's nonfiction book, The Vanishing Hitchhiker. In this book, Brunvand suggests that the story of the Vanishing Hitchhiker can be traced as far back as the 1870s. And I'm sure they're going to talk about this too, but that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Roads are scary because people die on them. Car accidents happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that you didn't grow up where your mom grew up.
Yeah.
Like, because she grew up in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up near where my mother grew up, but not specifically. And I remember my mom taking me on drives through Farmersville, Ohio. Yes, my mother's from she grew up in Farmersville, but we would go on drives through the winding roads of Farmersville.
Mm-hmm.
My mom that was the thing we did sometimes when we had nothing pressing. Mom loved to go on a Sunday drive. That was something that she and I really enjoyed. We'd go on a Sunday, we'd get hamburgers.
Yeah.
And then we'd go on a Sunday drive and we would just drive on the beautiful roads, the back roads of the rural counties, because they're beautiful out there. But there was always this tinge of creepiness. My mother, I love her to death. She is morbid. My mom is a morbid person. And it's funny because you would think I would be a morbid person. I fucking founded WeeklySpooky.
Yeah.
But I'm not as morbid as my mom. So we'll be riding on the back roads of Farmersville, and my mom will literally like come to a big curve, and she'll take the curve and be like, 3 of my friends died on prom night on this curve because they were driving drunk.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what? And then my mom's like, yeah, see the crosses? And I'm like, oh my God. There are crosses on the side. That happened.
Jeez.
But she had multiple ones of those. She would talk about like how, because it was a small rural area. So a thing kids would do, which I'm sure they do a lot of places, they get drunk, go on a drive, and those country roads can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, and they're not just, I mean, like, you probably haven't because you're from the East Coast, but a fun thing to do when I was a teenager was get in a car. Nobody would be drunk, thank goodness, but we'd get in a car and we'd go on the country roads and just drive as fast as we wanted. Because at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, there's just nobody. It's, everybody that lives in those communities is asleep because they're getting up at 5 a.m. to do farming.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do that because I didn't have any friends, but I did hear about some roads that people would do that on. So
yeah. Well, and then there's things like you hear about Dead Man's Curve. They're like, you just hear the concept, like it's in movies, TVs, books, where it's like, oh yeah, that's Dead Man's Curve. Cause it's just like a really hard curve. I have a friend who lives in Waynesville, Ohio, which is in the middle of nowhere. And there is a full, 90-degree turn on this long stretch of back road. And when I was younger, I remember taking that curve and how scary it was. And now it has 5 signs and a flashing light thing warning you it's coming.
Wow.
Because so many people flung right off.
There's a, actually, I grew up, in relative suburbia, but it was fairly undeveloped in certain directions.
Sure.
So near my house, there was a really small road that went towards South Brunswick. And it had like a 90-degree curve. And there was a house right next to the road. And actually somebody did end up hitting that house.
Yeah.
Because it was like against the road.
The house on that curve I was just telling you about, they have a ditch in front of their house.
Smart.
Yeah. And it's because the house had been hit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So see what I mean? Like, this is why I think like ghost stories involving roads, you start to think about it. And if you go even further back, because this says like 1870s, that would mean that the hitchhiker was being picked up on horseback.
Yeah, with a carriage thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
But again, we have stories of ghostly horsemen, the headless horseman. We have stories about, and the headless horseman is not just a one-off. It's called the Doulahan, I believe is the term. Because there were concepts of headless horsemen over in Scotland and all over the world. There have been this concept of headless horsemen. There's been this concept of people dying while traveling. So then when you're traveling, you encounter the spirits of those who didn't make it when they were on the roads and paths and trails you were on.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that traveling has this interesting element to it because it can be dangerous to travel. And what's the most important part about a ghost story? A ghost story has to take place in the past. Because, you can't be like, and then 5 years from now, they all die. It doesn't make any sense. So but that also feeds into it because you can be like, well, in the 60s, cars were less safe, or before cars, horse-drawn carriages weren't that safe.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. It just plays with your expectations of the world around you to be like, this road could have, who knows how many people have died in a car accident on a road at any given place you're at.
Sure.
So then all of a sudden it's like, well, then why wouldn't a hitchhiker in the middle of the night maybe be an unhappy spirit who wants to, or even a not a vengeful spirit, a spirit that just wants to make sure you slow down when you're on the road. There are a lot of stories like that too, where it's like a hitchhiker. I've heard story versions of it where a hitchhiker is standing on the curve of a road.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody stops to help them. And in reality, supposedly the story is that the ghost was just there to make you slow down on the curve.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. When I was a young man, my friend who was about 2 or 3 years older than me took me out to Waynesville, to the middle of nowhere. And we parked on the side of the road and he told me this ghost story about how there's a ghost car of Waynesville that drives down this road at night, late at night, scary thing. And that what you have to do is sit and wait. It could take forever for the car to come, but it always comes. And the second we saw headlights way down the road, he was like, there it is. Now just remember, when the ghost car comes, it looks like a normal car, but when it gets right next to you, when it passes right by you, the car will vanish and you'll realize that the person driving is just a skull, like a screaming skull.
Oh.
And then as the car comes down, the second it gets close enough to your car to where you could see who's driving it, he just went, ah, and screamed, really loud and scared the ever-loving hell out of me. And then I did that to like 5 or 10 other people myself. That's such a good gag.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's solid. So, that's what I mean though. Like there's something about dark roads at night and ghost stories that I feel like just goes together really well.
Yeah.
So, oh man, now I'm all like spooked out. Oh my gosh. So similar stories have been reported for centuries across the world in places like England, Ethiopia, Korea, France, South Africa, Tsarist Russia, and in America among Chinese Americans, Mormons, and Ozark mountaineers.
Wow.
What was probably the first vanishing hitchhiker legend can be found in the 400-year-old manuscript Om the Teka och Wik under som Forgingo det Litursk Owenstet, which translates approximately as about the signs and wonders that preceded the liturgical event.
Okay.
Just a way with words.
Yeah.
The author, Joan Petri Klint, a priest in the diocese of Linköping, Sweden, and diligent collector of omens, that's the person who wrote it. So he was like a kind of a supernatural priest type.
Yeah.
Which I think they may have all been 400 years ago that way. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we're going to look at some variations of the Vanishing Hitchhiker right here on Monthly Spooky. So don't pick up any. I hope and pray, Chell, that someone who's listening to this is on a dark highway right now.
I hope so. Oh, I hope they have a hitchhiker in their car.
Oh my gosh, that would be the best. The hitchhiker would just be like looking back and forth.
Like, I'm not a ghost.
Which is exactly what a ghost would say.
Yeah.
And we are back with some variations of the Vanishing Hitchhiker story. And again, if you're listening to this in your car right now with a hitchhiker sitting next to you in your back seat, just give him a little side eye.
Yeah.
A common variation of the above involves the vanishing hitchhiker departing as would a normal passenger, having left some item in the vehicle or having borrowed a garment for protection against the cold.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The vanishing hitchhiker may also leave some form of information that encourages the motorist to make subsequent contact.
Mm-hmm.
In such accounts of the legend, the garment borrowed is often found draped over a gravestone in a local cemetery. One of the first versions I heard, I'm getting goosebumps. One of the first versions I ever heard was the scarf draped over one of those little crosses that's put on the side of the road when people die on the side of the road.
Right. That makes yeah.
So that was the first version I ever heard. In this and other versions of the urban legend, the unsuspecting motorist makes contact with the family of the deceased person using the information the hitchhiker left behind and finds that the family's description of the deceased matches the passenger motorist picked up, and also finds that they were killed in some unexpected way, usually a car accident, and that the driver's encounter with the vanishing hitchhiker occurred on the anniversary of their death.
Yeah.
I used to always, I mean, that's one of my favorite gags. I made a joke about that just earlier in the show about like why he's been dead 15 years ago yesterday. You know, I always joke that I wanted to like make a friend somewhere publicly and tell them they should come and visit sometime and then pay someone to do that when they get there. Enrique, haven't heard that name in 25 years. Is this some kind of joke? I love when they go, is this some kind of joke? Or that's not funny or whatever. Other variations reverse this scenario in that the hitchhiker meets a driver. The hitchhiker later learns that the driver is actually an apparition of a person who died earlier.
That's interesting. I mean, because there's so many other factors there, because I assume that means that the car is also a ghost, but somehow you went in the car. So were you just flying in the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
The ghost car.
Yeah.
Is that the most ridiculous thing you've heard today, let alone ever?
Kind of, actually. Because I just don't understand the physics of that, but whatever.
Fair enough. I mean, I've actually heard a lot of stories about ghost cars.
Yeah, but can you get inside them and go places is my question.
I've heard a couple of that. Usually not, though.
Yeah.
Usually it's that the ghost car will come. Well, I'd heard a version where this, like, if you're hitchhiking on a specific stretch of road, a ghost car will pick you up and then crash just like it did, you know, all those years ago with you inside.
Wow, that seems mean.
I've heard versions where it's that. I've heard versions where they pick you up so that you don't crash. Like they rescue you. They like drop you off just past where they died.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Just because you're an evil apparition doesn't mean you can't be a mensch.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Not all vanishing hitchhiker legends involve ghosts. One popular variant in Hawaii involves the goddess Pele, traveling the roads incognito and rewarding kind travelers. Other variants include hitchhikers who utter prophecies, typically of pending catastrophes or other evil events, before vanishing. I think I've heard the Pele version where like you pick up a woman and you help her and like you pick up a hitchhiker woman and she helps you, or you help her, and then she rewards you by like blessing your family.
It's interesting because it has a different kind of moral thing than, you know, it means it's like you should pick up hitchhikers and be nice to them because they might help you instead of, oh no.
I feel like I've heard a version where, because I've heard, I mean, really, like the reason I chose this topic was I was like, I can't even nail down one version of the vanishing hitchhiker story. There's so many types. I feel like I've heard one where like you pick up a hitchhiker and it's like if you didn't pick them up, you were definitely going to die like they did. Like, and they prevented you from crashing your car. I've heard that a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
There are a lot of these stories are about the idea that like supernatural things that happen are on a loop. Like they happen every night or every year or every 10 years or whatever, or every time it's a full moon or every time the wind is high or whatever, that like this thing will always happen and there'll be a ghost trying to stop you from reliving their pain, or a ghost hoping to make you relive the pain, but then you're kind and they let you go or what have you. Here's one. There is a similar story which is about two travelers sitting next to each other on a train, normally a man and a woman. One of them is reading a book and the other person asks what the book is about. The first person says that it's about ghosts. They then have a conversation about ghosts, and the second person asks the first if they believe in ghosts or have ever seen one, to which the first person says that they have never seen or believed in ghosts at all. The second person replies that it is doubtful and vanishes. This version, that was in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book. That was in that one. That was their version of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. I love folklore like this, dude. Like, I eat it up. Ever since I was a little boy, I think it's obvious if you listen in any way to anything we do here at Weekly Spooky that I love those campfire stories. I love those stories that were like whispered between giggles and bites of pizza at slumber parties and stuff. Like, I live for that stuff. I think it's the most pure form of human expression.
Yeah.
Are those stories. Because what's more human than like you meeting with your friends and going like, oh, I got to tell you, I heard this thing and it's so freaky. I've got to tell my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And that's one thing one reason I'm glad I went to public school, because I got all of that. Of course, not all of it was fun and spooky. Some of it was like, that Marilyn Manson removed ribs so he could give himself fellatio or whatever, there are all kinds of, or that, one of my favorites was that Paul, the best friend in the Wonder Years, the nerdy friend Paul, that he grew up to be Marilyn Manson.
Oh, wow.
That was an urban legend for a really long time.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
It's not true, by the way.
Yeah.
They just both have prominent noses. That's the only comparison. So now we have a thing about classifications of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. The first one is Beardsley and Hankey. This is a study about the story. The first proper study of the story of the Vanishing Hitchhiker was undertaken in 1942 and 43 by American folklorists Richard Beardsley and Rosalie Hankey, who collected as many accounts as they could and attempted to analyze them.
Interesting.
The Beardsley-Hankey survey elicited 79 written accounts of encounters with vanishing hitchhikers drawn from across the United States. They found 4 distinctly different versions, distinguishable because of obvious differences in development and essence. And these are described as A, stories where the hitchhiker gives an address through which the motorist learns he has just given a lift to a ghost.
Right.
49 of the Beardsley-Hankey samples fell into this category with responses from 16 states in the U.S. Another version, which they labeled B, is stories where the hitchhiker is an old woman who prophesies disaster or the end of World War II.
Oh.
Subsequent inquiries likewise reveal her to be deceased. 9 of the samples fit this description, and 8 of these came from the vicinity of Chicago.
Interesting.
Beardsley and Hankey felt that this indicated a local origin, which they dated to approximately 1933.
Okay.
2 of the version B hitchhikers in this sample foretold disaster at the Century of Progress exposition, and another foresaw calamity at the World's Fair. The strict topicality of these unsuccessful forecasts did not appear to thwart the appearance of further version B hitchhikers, one of whom warned that Northerly Island in Lake Michigan would soon be submerged, which has not yet occurred.
Not yet.
Dun, dun, dun! C, stories where a girl is met at some place of entertainment, a dance instead of on the road. She leaves some token, often an overcoat she borrowed from the motorist, on her grave by way of corroborating the experience and her identity. The uniformity amongst separate accounts of this variant led Beardsley and Hankey to strongly doubt its folkloric authenticity. They're so alike that they don't think that it's folklore.
Interesting.
And then D, stories where the hitchhiker is later identified as a local divinity, which would be like the Pele story and stuff. Beardsley and Hankey were particularly interested to note one instance in Kingston, New York in 1941, in which the vanishing hitchhiker was subsequently identified as the late Mother Cabrini. There's a movie about her out right now in theaters called Cabrini.
Oh, I don't.
She was the first nun sent to America to run Catholic stuff.
Okay.
First woman to run Catholic stuff in America. I'm making it very, very basic, but that's how I understand it. Founder of the local Sacred Heart Orphanage, who was beatified for her work. Beatified? Beatified?
I don't know.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's look up that word. Beatification is a recognition accorded by the Catholic Church of a deceased person's entrance into heaven and capacity to intercede on behalf of individuals who pray in her name. Okay, so it's not quite being a saint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we know she got into heaven.
Lucky.
Yeah.
The authors felt that this was a case of version B glimpsed in transition to version D.
Okay.
Beardsley and Hankley concluded that version A was the closest to the original form of the story containing the essential elements of the legend. Version B and D, they believed, were localized variations, while C was supposed to have started life as a separate ghost story, which at some stage became conflated with the original Vanishing Hitchhiker story.
Okay.
This is fascinating. I love this. I love that somebody sat and studied this.
Yeah.
One of their conclusions certainly seems reflected in the continuation of Vanishing Hitchhiker stories. The hitchhiker is, in the majority of cases, female, and the lift giver, male.
Mm-hmm.
Beardsley and Hankley's sample contained 47 young female apparitions, 14 old lady apparitions, and 14 more of an undeterminate sort. So none of the stories were out and out men that were the hitchhikers. Then we look at Bowman's study of the hitchhikers. Ernest W. Bowman's type and motif index of the folklore tales of England and North America in 1966 delineates the basic vanishing hitchhiker as follows. Ghost of young woman asks for ride in automobile. Disappears from closed car without the driver's knowledge, after giving him an address to which she wishes to be taken. The driver asks person at the address about the rider. Finds she has been dead for some time. Often the driver finds that the ghost has made similar attempts to return, usually on the anniversary of death in an automobile accident. Often, too, the ghost leaves some such item as a scarf or traveling bag in the car.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Bowman's classification system grades this basic story as motif E3. This is crazy. This is so detailed. But basically, the subcategories include hitchhikers who reappear on anniversaries, hitchhikers who leave items in vehicles unless the item is in a pool of water, in which case it is referring to a different... Yeah, this is crazy how this is for accounts of sinister old ladies who prophesize disasters, or could accounts of phantoms who are apparently sufficiently solid to engage in activities such as eating and drinking during their journey.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom parents who want to be taken to the sickbed of their dying son.
Oh, no.
Hitchhikers who simply request a lift home, and a category reserved exclusively for vanishing nuns, which is a surprisingly common variant.
Interesting.
And many of whom foretell the future. Huh. So here the phenomena blends into religious encounters, with the next and last vanishing hitchhiker classification for being encounters with divinities who take to the road as hitchhikers. The legend of Saint Christopher is considered one of these, and the story of Philip the Evangelist being transported by God after encountering the Ethiopian on the road. Okay, that's a Bible story that's somewhat similar.
Okay.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up all of our information about the Vanishing Hitchhiker right here on Monthly Spooky. And I hope that hitchhiker hasn't disappeared in your car yet. And we are back wrapping up our little dive into the Vanishing Hitchhiker legend, which during the break, I was like, man, I want to get these books about folklore. And it turns out I own all of them already.
Yeah.
So I guess I should probably do more reading than buying. That's a painful lesson I'll never learn. So now we're going to break into what many people believe is the first Vanishing Hitchhiker legend.
Okay.
It says the author was Joan Petri Klint, a priest in diocese from Sweden we talked about earlier, and a diligent collector of omens. In February 1602, a priest and two farmers were on their way home from the Candlemas market in Västergötland. A maid asked to go along. At an inn, they got off to get a bite to eat, and the maid wanted something to drink, a jug of beer, which was a common beverage. The first time the innkeeper fetched beer, the jug was filled with malt. Second time, acorns. And finally, blood.
It's weird that acorns were in the middle there, but whatever.
They were then horrified. The maid explained that this year will yield much grain, plenty of fruit on the trees, but also war and pestilence.
So I brought you this blood to show you.
She then disappeared into thin air. The incident contains all the hallmarks of a vanishing hitchhiker. It fits well with Beardsley and Hankley's B and C categories when the hitchhiker disappeared after making a prediction. The beer's transformations match Bowman's categories when the maid left behind seed, acorns, and blood, and the other category when she predicted the future. However, Clint does not mention whether the prophecy was correct. And then it also fits some categories for wanting something to drink and for being on her way home.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, considering how old that story is, it's from 1602. I mean, that could be the seed of the concept.
I guess it's possible.
Because that's a very long time ago.
I guess so. And they're like educated research people, so they are probably right.
Well, now we'll talk a very little bit about the skeptical reception to the concept of the vanishing hitchhiker. Paranormal researcher Michael Goss, in his book, The Evidence for Phantom Hitchhikers. Wait, that's a book? I want that book. Discovered that many reports of vanishing hitchhikers turned out to be based on folklore and hearsay stories. Wow.
Really?
Must be a short book.
Yeah.
Goss also examined some cases and attributed them to hallucination of the experiencer.
Sure.
What, you've never imagined a hitchhiker?
In my car that I picked up? It was just once, so I didn't really count.
Only once that doesn't count.
Yeah.
According to Goss, most of the stories are fabricated folklore creations retold in new settings.
Sure.
Skeptic Joe Nickel, who I love, Joe Nickel, the one of the world's only full-time paranormal investigators. He's studied hundreds of cases of the paranormal. Love Joe Nickel. Who investigated 2 alleged cases, concluded that there is no reliable evidence for vanishing hitchhikers. Historical examples have their origin in folklore tales and urban legends. Modern cases often involve conflicting accounts that may well be the result of exaggeration, illusion, or hoaxing.
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a kind of story that you're not going to really find evidence for, because
Sure.
I mean, I could just be like, oh my God, I picked up a hitchhiker and they weren't real. It's like, well, how are we gonna go back and, do tests to see if this happened? You can't. I mean, you could go to the same spot and see if the hitchhiker shows up again, but maybe it's only once every 5 years, Who knows? So
it's also worth mentioning that almost every continent in the world has multiple haunted roads, like roads that people believe are haunted. Also, worth mentioning, some people believe this may have something to do with highway hypnosis.
That's weird.
You've never heard of highway hypnosis?
No, I have. I just don't see how that would have anything to do with it.
Okay.
Isn't highway hypnosis just when you get really used to driving on a road, so you don't usually remember all of it when you drove on it? Yeah,
it's basically you kind of lose memory.
Yeah, because it's something you're so used to doing that you just forget. That it's your brain just basically doesn't save the journey because it's so common. So I have no idea how that would make sense.
Well, if you hallucinated and also had highway hypnosis, it would be hard to tell what was real.
I'm pretty sure if you experienced something that was a hitchhiker on the side of the road, you wouldn't have highway hypnosis. Like, it's not like if you're driving on a highway and you're in really bad traffic, which is unusual, you're not highway hypnosising anymore. Like it's only when you're having a very normal time on a road you're familiar with. So I don't know. I kind of think people, when they hear highway hypnosis, they think it's something like really weird and scary and they like want to, push it to something like that. But it's just like anything else. It's like, I don't remember what I did at 3 p.m. yesterday, like it doesn't. If there was a ghost in my house then and it was talking to me, I'd remember though. So
I think we could both agree life is a highway and I want to ride it all night long.
I guess.
Oh, fine. Well, that is a little dive into the concept of the vanishing hitchhiker. And there are lots of similar stories that it mentions in here, such as A229 Road, which is a place that's believed to have lots of phantom hitchhikers. The Belkin Tunnel in Switzerland, a giant list of haunted highways all over the world. There's the Niles Canyon ghost, Madame Koi Koi, like the Green Man, which is kind of a hitchhiker. There's a lot of fascinating concepts. So that all being said, Michelle is positive they don't exist. So if you are listening to this and you are a vanishing hitchhiker, she denies your existence and denies your life experience.
Sorry.
That's harsh, Chell.
Yeah, well.
So, before we get out of here, do you have any Redditness to share with us today?
I have one thing that hopefully will be good enough. I thought it was good, but it might not be, so I'll tell you anyway.
Okay.
So there's this woman who bought a house, I guess that her family was going to move into, but I think she might have bought it for someone in her family. I can't remember. And it was in really bad shape. Like the previous owner had all lots of animals and stuff. So there was and they didn't really take care of it. So there was pee all over the carpets and all that stuff. And she wanted to rip up the carpets, and she was pretty sure there was hardwood floor underneath. And this is interesting because it's not from a paranormal Reddit. It's from the Century Homes Reddit.
Okay.
So that's why we're talking about carpet and hardwood and stuff, because they like to. Yeah. And everybody was like, there's not hardwood under there. You should just buy carpets. And she's like, no, there's hardwood. And she's trying to fix it up. But while she's in there, she starts to feel really paranoid. Like something is wrong. And she keeps getting glimpses of something out of the corner of her eye and thinking that she's hearing someone call to her, but she's not sure. But there's no one else in the house. And she's telling other people about what's going on. And they're just getting more and more concerned for her sanity because none of this makes sense.
Right.
And I guess this goes on for a while. And one day she hears something faintly call out to her. Sort of. I mean, she can't understand what it's saying, but it sounds like a person's voice. And she goes looking. And there's an area that I'm taking some liberties with the story. There's an area, I guess that's, where maybe the wall is partially demoed or something, where there's a cavity in the wall. And she reaches her hand in. And there's something fuzzy inside. And it's a cat. There's just been a cat living in the house the whole time. Meowing at her, trying to get her attention, but also kind of scared. So now the cat is her pet.
Oh, she kept the cat?
Yeah.
Well, of course she'd say that on Reddit. She's not going to tell the truth, which is she just put it in a Kroger bag and threw it out the window.
Well, she gave us cat tax picture, so we know.
Aww.
It's gray. It was really cute.
Well, a panicked cat can make sounds that are really upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it was panicked, but yeah.
Well, and out of context cat, that should be a whole subreddit, out of context cat, because out of context cats are scary. Mm-hmm. When you're, it's okay, that's a demon. And then you're oh, wait, there's a cat. Then it's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you are under the impression there is no cat, very scary.
Mm-hmm. And the idea that the cat, who seemed to be kind of living in the walls, was probably walking around a little and checking her out, and she would just see glimpses of it and then not know, out of the corner of her eye. That would make me very uncomfortable.
And that's definitely a cat thing to do.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Chell, for bringing us a little Reddit creepiness that ended in a positive light with a kitty cat getting a new home. Although it seems like it was already its home. So
yeah.
It just got a new friend, I guess.
Oh, and to make matters even better, there was hardwood under the carpet.
Yeah. This is the happiest ending I think we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chell. That was pretty good. Well, we're going to get out of here for this month, but we will be back at the end of next month with another monthly spooky, as long as the creek don't rise. So I want to thank you all for listening and remind you that if you want to support us, you can go to WeeklySpooky.com and for as little as $1 a month, join our Patreon and get 2 bonus shows every single month. We really do appreciate it. We have 99 backers as of me recording this. We've been bouncing between like 99 and 101. I'm really, really thrilled, and I really appreciate the support. Just go to WeeklySpooky.com and click on Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, I want to say an extra special thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Johnny Nix, John Callan, Bobbletopia.com, Jenny Green, Brent McCullough, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you guys so much. And in fact, Chell, Craig Cohen will be joining myself and Rachel here in Dayton to witness the big eclipse coming up.
Oh, you're so lucky.
It's completely like total luck. Although it's not that much luck because most of the places that were going to be the best places to watch the eclipse got destroyed by the tornadoes. The tornadoes actually went almost exactly in line with the eclipse sightings.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly where Rachel will figure that out, but Craig is taking a bus out to Dayton from Philly.
That's really
and
cool.
we're gonna watch the eclipse.
Cool.
And then I'm sure we'll do other things because the eclipse is like what, 4 minutes or 7 minutes
something
or something?
like that. I don't know how long you guys have. I'm gonna watch the eclipse and be sad that I don't get a phone.
You are welcome to come.
I can't come for eclipse.
Why not?
Because I don't know.
It only happens like every very long time.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, thank you again to everybody for listening. And Chell, you have the final word.
Aw.